Over the past several months, I've been shooting a big immersive video project using the Canon R5c with the dual fisheye lens. I see a lot of people on Reddit asking whether the R5c is the right camera system to start with, and lots of comparisons to the Blackmagic Immersive camera. But now, the Immersive Company just dropped a big announcement, something that may change the whole game. You may know the Immersive Company as the makers of Prima, an immersive video platform on the Apple Vision Pro that blew us away with the video quality in their first video called Sessions. If you haven't downloaded the Prima app and checked out Sessions, I recommend you do that as soon as you can. So the Immersive Company just put out a teaser announcement about something they call the ultimate accessible tool we all wish existed for cinematic VR and immersive production. Now, they don't say camera specifically, but looking at the picture on their announcement and all the conversation that has erupted from this teaser, lots of people are talking about a camera. So I was going to make a video about my experience with the R5c with some comparisons to the Blackmagic camera, but now I think we also need to talk about how the Immersive Company's announcement changes that conversation. So I'll give you my general opinion up front, then we'll get into some details. If you're getting started or actively producing something this summer, and we're talking about the summer of 2025, I recommend you rent the Canon R5c with the dual fisheye lens. I wouldn't buy it because renting is so easy. I don't have any partnership with lensrentals.com, but I did want to mention that I've had a lot of success renting the R5c and everything else I need from them. And of course, I wouldn't buy anything right now because the Immersive Company system and the Blackmagic camera are coming very soon. And if you can postpone your production just a little bit, it may make sense to wait until more information is available from the Immersive Company. Waiting a bit and switching to their system for your production might be a great move. Now, when I started working with VR video and when I started this channel, I was focused on accessible equipment, inexpensive cameras that are easy to acquire and easy to work with. Later, as I was gearing up for a large production, I was obviously going to work with a more powerful camera. Of course, the Blackmagic camera came into the conversation. And I think it's worth making comparisons with traditional video production. In the traditional space, we have hobbyists and creators, all the way up to professional cinematographers who shoot great quality videos on something like an iPhone. And above that, there's a huge market for cinema DSLRs, great quality cameras that are more expensive than an iPhone, with a bit more complicated workflow, but very accessible to a wide range of users. And video production scales higher from there, all the way up to high-end broadcast and studio cameras. Obviously, the Blackmagic Immersive camera lives within that professional production space, with a price tag of over $30,000 in the US. We're still in need of something that is affordable while creating professional or near professional results for scenarios where a traditional videographer would use a cinema DSLR. When I started my production, the R5c filled that role. Obviously, now I'm very interested to see where the Immersive Company system will fit into that analogy. Will it be used for high-end productions, competing with a Blackmagic camera at a lower price? Will it be used by smaller producers, the way traditional videographers use a DSLR? Or could it actually cross those lines and provide an alternative for both? Based on the content that we've seen published on Prima, I think it's tempting to think that the Immersive Company system will rival the quality of the Blackmagic camera at a cost that is much closer to the DSLR range. Of course, we have to wait a bit longer for more information. Now that we have some context, I think it would be helpful to talk about some things that I've learned while working with the Canon R5c. I think these are things you should keep in mind to get the best results if you're shooting with the R5c now. When I talk to people about working with the R5c, I tell them to imagine they're holding a wet towel. That's the R5c, and what you want is the water. Just picking up the towel gives you some water, but there's so much water still in the towel. If you squeeze it, you get more water, and if you twist the towel just right, you get even more. And there are different ways to squeeze the R5c to get better and better quality. So how do you squeeze out more quality? Well, many people start with upscaling. Lots of people identify the 8K resolution of the Canon R5c and immediately focus on using an AI upscaling tool, like Topaz AI, to boost their video as high as 16K or 8K per eye. Now, I do think that upscaling is an important part of the conversation, but I actually don't think that it's the highest priority. First on my list is noise. Shooting with the R5c is a constant battle against visual noise. Combating that includes minimizing noise as much as possible when you shoot. I'm talking about great lighting and setting your exposure properly. But it also includes noise reduction software during post-production. So that's the first most important factor, in my opinion. After that, I believe that HDR, high dynamic range, is incredibly important. The Apple Vision Pro supports HDR, but the MetaQuest headsets do not. If you are producing video for the Apple Vision Pro, I am a strong advocate for an HDR workflow. HDR, in my opinion, makes as much of a difference as upscaling. Noise and the HDR workflow are easy for new producers to overlook, but I cannot stress how important they both are. And that brings me to one last important factor. To import your video from the Canon R5c so you can edit it, Canon offers the EOS VR utility. This will import your video, convert it into an edit-friendly file like ProRes or H.264, and it also automatically sets the 3D convergence and converts the video into the equirectangular format, which is a standard format for editing VR video. Canon's VR utility makes the import process as easy as possible, but simply using that utility sacrifices a significant amount of quality up front. The Canon utility does not support HDR color, at least at the time of this recording. The way it sets the 3D convergence automatically means you cannot manually fix any problems that may pop up. And you may be surprised to know that the way it stitches your video into the equirectangular format sacrifices resolution. So right off the bat, if you are going for the best possible quality, I recommend you do not use Canon's VR utility. Instead, I recommend you edit in DaVinci Resolve and use the free Cardiverse plugin. I have not been able to find a workflow in Adobe Premiere that supports HDR and the full potential quality of footage from the R5c. In my experience, DaVinci Resolve plus Cardiverse is the best editing solution to maximize quality. In another video on this channel, I'll show how to set up and install Cardiverse and how to use it to do everything that Canon's VR utility can do, but with much greater control and video quality. And to be clear, I do not consider myself to be an expert. I do not claim to have the one perfect workflow, but I do think that some of the things that I've learned can be helpful to other producers. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to see more videos that drill down deeper into any specific aspects of working with the R5c. And with all that in mind, at this point, I'm glad I've been renting and have not purchased the Canon R5c. As we continue producing immersive VR video, I have to say that I am squarely focused on the Immersive Company. When we look at the price in their teaser announcement, we see something that is not much more expensive than a fully outfitted R5c, but is likely to produce much higher quality video. Of course, I'm planning to share details and workflow insights for that system as we learn more in the next few months.